I am a hockey fan, a big time hockey fan. I love the Chicago Blackhawks, the worst team in the NHL. 34 points. Congratulations. I love the Chicago Blackhawks. Nobody in this market was like, dude, we got to get an NHL team. Oh, excuse me. Ryan Smith, the owner of the Jazz and the Yetis to be, he was the one clamoring. And the fact that the building has been full does not mean hockey's been a success here. It does not mean that the fact he was given a billionaire, Ryan Smith, the owner of the Jazz and the Yeti to be, was given $1 billion in taxpayer money without a public vote, just as by the stroke of a pen, given $1 billion in taxpayer money and very little oversight. We're 4 months in, and Utah fans are proclaiming victory with the hockey club. I have told you, I think that they are going to compete. I think that Ryan Smith has no choice but to do everything he can do to keep that building full, because if that building's not full, and it won't be full if they're bad, let's get something very straight right now. Utah fans of any sport do not show up when the team's bad.
Mm-hmm.
If that hockey team is bad, that building will not be full. He's going to do everything he can do, I think, to run it just like the Jazz. Put them right at the line. What are they, 4 points off a wild card spot?
A wild card spot, yeah.
Right at the line. A little more than halfway through the season.
Hey, show up, support the team. We're right there. We're going to barely get in.
Right at the line. Building a new stadium for you, building a custom practice facility at the mall, like right at the line. And my question is, what does success look like since you took the hockey team from Arizona and moved them to Utah? What is the bar of success? Because it ain't 4 months in with a full building and not a playoff team. That's not success. It's not writing a billionaire $1 billion check with no oversight. That's not success. If everybody here was clamoring for a hockey team, why didn't you put it on a ballot? Because everybody certainly that was clamoring for the hockey team would have voted for it. Because it wouldn't have passed. Because nobody here was clamoring for a hockey team. 4 months in, big success. We won. Not yet. Not yet. And we continue to do this because nobody here is clamoring for an NBA team. Oh, wait, we don't have one. Nobody here is clamoring for an MLB team. And the Smith group, I think doesn't give a rat's ass about baseball. But because the Smith group is involved in the NHL, big win, victory, we've achieved You haven't. You haven't. You just haven't. And the Miller Group may well bring Major League Baseball to Salt Lake City. Nobody here wants it.
Yeah.
Nobody here wants it. You wouldn't go to AAA baseball games. And now you move Smith Field, named after a grocery store, not the billionaire who needed $1 billion. You move Smith Field to Daybreak, and everybody's going to say, whoa, look at the full stadium. Holy cow, we got to get a major league team. Well, why is the stadium in Daybreak going to be full? Because it's the new shiny diamond.
And to that end, it's a great business plan that they have for it, right?
It is.
Where have they put it? They've put it and again, I'm giving them credit here on the baseball stadium from a business perspective. You put this thing in a really smart spot.
I agree.
Orientated it so that the mountains are in the background.
Yep.
And you put it in
a copper mine.
You put it in a spot, but nobody outside of Utah is going to know that. Right?
Yes.
So you put it in a spot where there's mountains in the background, and then you put it in a spot where everybody can walk to it. So parking's not going to be a huge issue for the local communities. What is going to be an issue, though, is once we get through the new car smell phase, which I'm waiting for with the stadium, with the hockey club, and you're not winning, then what do we have?
When minor league baseball goes back to being minor league baseball,
what do we have?
When the hockey club turns into what the Jazz are now, because Ryan Smith is not going to spend money to win championships. Until he does, my point is, let's not declare victory. Did you guys see what the Jazz did yesterday?
Yeah, let's talk about this.
What do you guys think of this? The Utah Jazz yesterday traded 3 first-round picks to Phoenix, the Suns. for Phoenix's 2031 unprotected pick. And Bobby Marks at ESPN, who I respect the hell out of, worked with him, really smart guy. Jazz are consolidating their draft picks. People are saying it's an unequivocal win for the Jazz to get a 2031 unprotected pick. Well, let me ask you something. What happened to all in the pooper for Cooper? What happened to we're in a rebuild and we're going to win? We will spare no expense. What happened to that?
No, don't forget. We're going to go big game hunting.
What happened to that? What happened to all the assets you've acquired? We're going to trade them away for a pick that's 6 years away? Oh, well, the Suns are going to be bad at that point in 6 years. And I'd remind you, the owner of the Suns is a billionaire real estate mortgage mogul
who has proven he is willing to spend,
named Matt Ishbia, who is spending an exorbitant amount of money. And why did Matt Ishbia trade for those 3 draft picks? He turned 1 first-round pick in 2031 into 3 first-round picks, and they're never going to make those selections in Phoenix because they're going to trade them with Bradley Beal as part of a multi-team deal to acquire Jimmy Butler from Miami. Now, the Jazz will be picking in 2031 because we just assume that pick is going to be with the Jazz in 2031.
And they're going to be, I saw this all over Twitter yesterday, right? They're going to be a 40-50 win team, right? So I just want to make sure we're putting this in context with what that level of winning means. Right now, the Oklahoma City Thunder are the best team in the Western Conference. They're 35-7 halfway through the season. Okay, so they're pacing for 60 wins. Okay, let's dial it back a little bit, right? We'll dial it back a little bit to, a 20-ish win team. 20-ish win teams in the Western Conference would be the Mavericks, the Lakers, the Clippers, 22, 23, 24 wins. You're pacing for the mid-40s in wins. You're a playoff team. Okay, so you're saying the win here, and this is what I'm trying to understand. So the win here is, hey, we're going to be a 40 to 50 win team, a playoff team come 2031. And we're going to draft high in the draft because this is an unprotected pick. So we're going to add a rookie phenom to an already rebuilt team. And that's what's going to put us over the top. And that this pick is more valuable than the lesser of the 3 other picks that you gave up. That's the logic here.
All you're saying is you're not going to win anytime soon.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
That's what you're saying,
because
you don't need these picks.
Consolidating the picks. We can call it, oh, well, here's the plan. Bro, I got news for you, man. I've been waiting, and again, I love Danny Ainge's story and his career in the NBA. I've been waiting for Danny Ainge to show up again since the Rudy Gobert trade happened. I've been waiting for some foundational trade that's going to set the franchise on the correct path. Do you really think I want to talk college football every single day for every single year? Do you really think that I want to not talk about the Jazz or not talk NBA? You're giving us nothing. There's nothing here. And yesterday, Jazz Twitter was all about, oh my God, what a great pick. This makes perfect sense. Danny Ainge is aging again. You've got beat writers in this town talking about Danny Ainge is blowing the smoke off of his finger gun with this trade. What are you talking about? This team is not good. And albeit they weren't supposed to be good this year, but they're not good. You're last in the West with 10 wins.
You're not moving in the right direction.
Right? What are we doing? What is and you're right. Where is the pooper for Cooper sentiment? You're 10-31. The worst team in the league is the Washington Wizards at 6-36. Let me get this right. You're, and again, in the NBA, it's not guaranteed. It's not like the NFL, obviously, but you're not even the worst team in the NBA. And if you're not careful, you're not going to be one of the 4 or 5 worst teams if you keep messing around in the second half of the year. Because the other teams that you're competing with to get the best odds in the lottery with the ping pong balls are 11-32 with the Raptors, 11-28 with Charlotte, and 14-30 with Brooklyn. Like this, they're not like unequivocally the worst team in the league and absolutely doing everything that they can do to get the best odds. So how am I, as someone who covers this team and pays attention, how am I supposed to be excited about this trade, what this team is doing? By the way, and notice we haven't talked about it. Where is all the push for the Jazz app and the Smith Entertainment Group app and like all the excitement about that? You don't really hear about that anymore, do you? Oh, that's right. Because what happened? They went through a ton of blackout issues that nobody talked about. I'm telling you, it got pushed down. So now we don't really hear about that anymore. So my point just is that to bring this full circle, you're exactly right. All this is proclaiming success 4 months into a process and trying to do a trade here, a trade there, and gift wrapping them as these magnificent transactions that are setting us up for just an incredible run.
Yeah.
I got news for you. I will not believe that this team drafts well until they actually start drafting well. I'm not buying into the narratives and these stories we're being told. I need to see it in real life.
Yeah. I'm very interested to see where Salt Lake City is as a sports town in 5 years. Will the Jazz or the Utah Hockey Club have won a championship? Will Utah or BYU have won a college football playoff game? Will the Salt Lake Bees have turned into a Major League Baseball team? I don't think so. And Ryan Smith, the free pass that Ryan Smith gets from the media in this town is truly remarkable. And it is what we do in Utah. We celebrate victory long before we should. BYU was the best team in the country. They were going to win the Big 12 and no, they didn't. Utah was going to win the Big 12 this year. No, they didn't. The Jazz are going in the right direction, and Danny Ainge and Ryan Smith, they're not. And now you're 4 months into the Utah hockey thing, and you see the building full. You're not in a playoff spot, and you have a pretty good road to climb to get to a playoff spot. You have multiple clubs you got to pass to get the wild card, and you're proclaiming victory.
Yeah.
You gave a billionaire $1 billion and no oversight. Where's the victory for those of us that live here that have to deal with this? There is none. There's no oversight. Put it on a ballot. You're not going to do that because you won't get what you want. Oh, there's huge demand for hockey here. Look at the buildings full every night. Why didn't you put it on a ballot? Because all those people would have voted for it, right? To give Ryan Smith $1 billion, unchecked, no oversight. They would have voted for that, right? It took a groundswell of support, a grassroots effort to save Abravanel Hall, which is where the symphony plays here in Salt Lake City. He wanted to get rid of that. And it took a loud crowd to save that building. Ryan Smith has zero oversight. Nobody asked hard questions. Why does a billionaire need $1 billion? If he's a billionaire, why are you telling me he has no friends?
Better yet, let me ask this question, because this is the one that y'all really don't like. Ryan Smith is supposed to be a billionaire and supposed to be really successful, right? Hey, really successful businessman, Qualtrics, and he was successful with Qualtrics. I think we can all agree on that.
Yes, absolutely.
However, this is a guy who will tell you, oh, well, it's all going exactly to plan. You haven't done anything with the Jazz, dude. The Jazz, all you did with the Jazz, and this is not hating, and I'll die on this hill. All he's done with the Jazz is strip this organization down and saved a bunch of money and put that new money into the hockey club. That's what he's done. Like, I don't know how we go against that. I don't know how you disagree with that. Like, and by the way, for all the people saying, oh, well, you know, to have great odds in the lottery, you just got to be one of the 3 worst teams. That's true.
That is true.
3 worst teams are 14% to get, they each have a 14% chance to get the number 1 pick in the NBA draft. Here's my problem with that, or my concern with that. My concern is that you're 10-31, and too often you're one possession away from winning a ball game. Too often you're too close. So at 10-31, about halfway through, again, you're the second worst team in the league. Washington's a 6-win team. They're by far the worst team in the league. But these two other teams right here, Toronto and Charlotte, at 11 wins. And closely behind them, New Orleans at 12 wins. You are 2, maybe 3 possessions away from not being top 3 in the lottery. If that happens, will anybody say anything?
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Brandon Butler, you just have to be bottom 3. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
The stadium guy, James, if the Jazz don't get Cooper in the draft, the Jazz fans should refuse to go watch until Ryan Smith sells the team.
He's not going to sell the team, and people are still going to go.
Ryan Smith is tanking. Could be. Will be good in 6 years equals the mouse bites the cheese, which triggers the trap that springs the cause and causes the hammer to hit the match that lights the candle.
Yeah.
Could be. Could be. Capazzo. SLC as a sports town will look like crap because Ryan Smith is just trying to milk the fan base for all he can. And until he shows that he is willing to reach in his pocket and spend his money, there's no reason to believe that, like, he talked about how no expense will be spared for the Jazz to win. I'm going to say he spared some expense. It goes back to the Jordan Clarkson decision, the back and forth and the behind the scenes tug of war that was Jordan Clarkson opting in or opting out. How bad does that move look now?
Yeah.
And if you trade Walker Kessler, I think that's a huge mistake.
And again, you tweeted yesterday, this sends a really bad message to the fan base. And I agree with that.
Who roundly support it. Who roundly support it, which is crazy. Ryan Smith has no friends. The thing that bothers me the most about this situation with Ryan Smith and the Jazz, if you're a billionaire, and on paper, Ryan Smith is a billionaire, why are you taking $1 billion public handout? Well, Monty, all owners do that. Did Steve Ballmer do that? When he built the Intuit Dome in Los Angeles, who paid for that?
He did.
He did. Did public money go into building the Intuit Dome for the Clippers? Not a penny. Privately financed, privately funded by Steve Ballmer. If you're a billionaire and you're the Cronkies or you're the Ballmers, you have friends. If you're Tom Brady, you have friends. And Tom Brady's a great example of friending yourself into ownership. The Wrexham example.
Yeah.
Go in with your friends. But the days of taking money from the public should be over. The Chicago Bears cannot get public financing, and Ryan Smith was handed a blank check. Do you guys understand that there was no public vote on the $1 billion that they gave Ryan Smith, and he has pretty much full reign to renovate multiple city blocks in Salt Lake? No public vote. In Kansas City, we joke about Arrowhead and Geha, and did they just write a blank check, stroke a pen, and tell people you're gonna pay to renovate this stadium? No, they put it on a ballot, and what happened? The Kansas City Chiefs, the vaunted Arrowhead, they said, no, we're not going to pay publicly to renovate that.
See, and at least in that scenario, I can get down with what ownership's trying to do. You're making all this bread, and you don't feel like you should have to pay for it because you're winning. So you feel like you're justified in having the public pay for it. Okay, at least I can get down with the fact you're being brash about it. At least like you're owning it. You're saying, hey, like we're winning and we're winning a ton and we have a dynasty. If you want us to stay here, go ahead and pay for it. Okay, you may not like that.
And you don't have to.
And you don't have to. And you can shoot down that vote. But at least we're transparent. At least we're being honest about like how we all feel about it. That doesn't happen here.
And I truly think it irks Jazz fans more that he is allegedly putting resources into BYU basketball, which he denies. But you don't get AJ DeBansa the way that you got him without donor and NIL money. You don't have the head coach at BYU unless you have donor money and NIL money.
So wait, Ryan Smith owns the Utah Jazz. He went through NBA circles to get to Kevin Young, who's now the head coach at BYU. And as part of the recruitment process for AJ DeBansa, you went and got Kevin Durant, who was formerly playing for Kevin Young, an assistant on that roster, to help you talk to AJ to get him to go to BYU. Now, Ryan Smith didn't have anything to do with that. No, he didn't put any money into that. He didn't. There's no connections there. Come on, dude.
Yeah, I think it is very interesting that we are in a position here where this is how business gets done. This is how business gets done. And I think it is very interesting that it's just a blank check, man.
Yeah.
There's no oversight. It's wild.
Must be nice, dude.
Big difference between the Chefs and the White Sox, right? Well, the White Sox can't get public funding for a new stadium in downtown. They shouldn't. The Bears can't get public funding for a stadium downtown on the lakefront, and they shouldn't. That's just my opinion.